everybody. We are from group 3 and we are going to explain about you guys about quantifier. What is quantifier? You have learned count noun and uncountable noun before, so what is quantifier? Quantifier is a word or a phrase which is used before a noun to indicate the amount or quantity. For example, some, many, a lot, or a few. Here are some examples of sentences. First, there are some books on the desk. Second, he's got only a few dollars. Third, how much money have you got? And lastly, there's a large quantity of fish in the river. Examples of uncountable nouns are much, a little, a bit, a great deal of, a large amount of, and a large quantity of. Examples of countable nouns are many, a few, a number of, a several, a large number of, a great number of, and a majority of. Examples of countable and uncountable nouns are all, enough, more, least, no.
Hello, my name is Ahmad. Quantifiers are used with 4 different nouns. The first one is singular count nouns, such as one, each, and every. For example, she took each item back to the store. Every bank is closed. Second, plural count nouns, there are 2. Both, a couple of, a dozen, several, few, a few, many, a great many, and a number of. Let's look at this example. She bought a couple of gifts. It is much easier than writing out several checks to different agencies. Third, noun count nouns, such as a little, little, much, a great deal, a great amount of. For example, they have a little money. He owns a great deal of property. And the last one is plural count nouns plus non-count nouns. There are no, any, some enough, a lot of, lots of, plenty of, most, and all. For example, she has some.
Okay, my name is Amirul. So I will proceed with the next quantifiers, which are some and any. We can use some and any with a noun when we don't know the actual amount. For example, I have some apples. Another example, do you have any cash with you? Next, we can also use some and any with countable and non-countable nouns. For example, there are some apples in the fridge. In this sentence, apples are countable noun. Another example, there is some juice in the fridge. Juice are non-countable nouns. So, when do we use any and some? Some and any, both, we can use as a question, such as, do we have any milk? Or, do we still have some milk in the fridge? We usually use some in negative sentences and if statements, such as, we don't have any water. Another example, if you had any question, just ask. For any, we often found it in positive sentences or in offers, also requests. Nathaniel bought some bread. Or, would you like some coffee? Warning, don't use 2 negatives in the same simple sentence, such as, Jack didn't understand anything. No, we should say, Jack didn't understand.
Hello, good morning. My name is Irene.
And my name is Hasdi.
Today's video, we're going to talk about 4 basic quantifiers, which are much,
More,
few.
and little.
According to the Oxford Dictionary,
Quantifier is a determiner or pronoun indicative of quantity. all, both, much, many, and so on.
But in this video, you also need to know the definition of countable and uncountable nouns. Countable nouns are things, objects, and nouns in general that you can count.
On the other hand, we have uncountable nouns, which are things that cannot be counted.
The reason why we have defined is because we're going to explain two basic quantifiers with countable nouns.
And two basic quantity of uncountable nouns.
So, let's begin with many. Many is a quantifier that we use to express large quantity of countable nouns. For example, you're gonna say people, objects, and animals. So we will say, there were many people at the party. Or, I haven't had many dogs throughout my life. Or, there aren't many animals in the streets this day, aren't they? Okay, that is the use of many. Now, let's move on to the quantifiers that we use on countable noun, which is much. The quantifier much is normally used in negative sentences and or questions. For example, we don't have much sugar. I didn't get much sleep last night. He doesn't eat much, does he?
Now, I'm going to talk about how to use a few or few and a little or little. A few or few are used for count nouns and a little or little are used for uncountable nouns. A few and little are used to give a statement a positive sense. They mean some, which is not great number of amount but enough to be satisfactory. For example, Nancy has a few investments, which means enough to satisfy. She has saved a little money, also means enough to satisfy. Few and little are used to give a statement a negative sense. They mean not much at all, which means not enough to be satisfactory. For example, Irene has few friends. Mary has little self-confidence, which both means not enough to be satisfactory. If we add the word only to a few or a little, the positive sense will disappear. For example, I have only a few friends. Number one. Number two, I have only a little money, which means I would like more. Be careful. In comparison, use fewer with count nouns and less with non-count nouns. Use more with both count and non-count nouns. For example, I have fewer problems than I used to. I have more friends.
Hello, my name is Devatrani Sijabi, and I will briefly tell you guys about quantifiers that can also appear in phrases with the preposition of. The first example is, most of the EU countries are using the euro. The second example, most of us are going on the trip. The third example, we saw many of her films. However, you must remember that the quantifier with the preposition of can be used only with plural count nouns and non-count nouns. For example, most of the people have arrived. Most of the coins were very old. A quantifier without the prepositions of can also be used when no particular persons, places, things or groups mentioned in the sentence. For example, most people don't understand the economy. Second, most restaurants take credit cards. Third, most banks are safe. And the last one, most work is useful.